What's going on, people? So, I think I've said it before, and if I haven't said it, I have certainly showed it, that I am a Presto guy, right? So that's what this box is here. You see that side there? Yeah, it says something about a Presto and whatever else it says. So I saw these a while ago. I want to say this particular pair came out in early 20 or very late 19. So I remember looking at them when I was at work and I was like, do I want these? Do I not? I'll figure it out later. So let's go ahead and get this box open real quick, since I'm not going to really show it again later. Right there on the inside of this box, there's a sizing chart, right? So when I say sizing chart, it's like a chart that you can refer to know what size you need, because it's a sizing chart. I hope everybody gets that, because you'd be surprised the questions people ask about stuff like that. Or maybe you wouldn't be surprised, because there's some dumb people out there. Not you guys, though. Anyway, so we got this here. This is a pair of Nike Prestos in whatever color this is. Soar? Orange? Whatever. We're just going to skip over that. Let's go ahead and get on into things so we can knock out this review over this right here. The Nike Air Presto in orange and blue. That's a lot easier than whatever it said on the side of the box. Now, this is also referred to, some might refer to it as like the t-shirt type Presto or the prototype Presto, whatever it was, because, you know, real quick before we get into things, the upper, that's what it is, right? You look in there, it's got these little pictures and stuff, kind of like a schematic of like them designing the Presto. So, which is like, it's supposed to be like is it the t-shirt for your foot or something like that? I don't know, something weird. Let's get back on track and start this thing with the bottom. Down there, what you're looking at is going to be pretty much just your standard Presto outsole, right? Nothing fancy about it. It's been around for years. You've probably seen a couple of them before. Moving on to the midsole here, you got some white, you got some blue, you got some orange. Same thing as you saw on the bottom, right? Again, nothing fancy, but it is pretty nice, comfort-wise. We'll get into that more later, though. Now, moving on to the upper here. As I was kind of saying before, when you look at the upper, it's a lot of blue and this kind of like a lighter sort of color. Maybe it's like a white. But basically all you're seeing here, which kind of looks like a lot of scribbles at first, is really just them having how the Presto was originally designed, or like the process that goes into designing it, right? So you got that. But now let's get in here and actually talk about this thing, now that you kind of know why it looks the way it looks. So down here around the toe box and all that good stuff, you got this clear plastic piece, you know, kind of give you a little bit of durability in that front piece, and kind of just also helps hold the shoe together. So there's that. Moving up just a tad bit, you got that Nike swoosh in white. And so then moving on to the side areas, you got that cage. The cage is going to be on both sides, right? It's a little bit of a different sort of structure, right? Because on the outside it kind of swoops further back, but then on the on the inside, it doesn't do that same design. So, but you know what I'm saying. But either way, so you got that going on. And then moving back here with the way the Prestos are, it does have the labeling on the inside, but not on the outside. And then on the very back, you have the Nike Air piece, where it's kind of like a sort of a blurry look. I'm not sure if that's how they do that, if it's like actually in the plastic, or if they just did it on the back end, or what, you know what I'm saying? But you got that blurry Nike swoosh with the Air there. So there's that for you. Pretty much not a whole lot to say. And we're just gonna move on to the lacing part, because again, it's a Presto, there's not much going on, so, you know. Now, moving up here to these laces, right? Pretty much just your standard white laces, kind of matching up with that swoosh down there, right? And these are that kind of lace where it's not completely round, but it's not completely flat, because you can kind of tell, like, it's got the little ridges on the side, so it's a weird shape, but it works for them, you know, it works for them. But at the top, though, you do have that P for Presto. Sometimes they had other logos that they would kind of switch in there, depending on what it was or whatever. And then, moving on to the inside here, get this other one out as well for you. So, on one, you have the 20, and then on the other, you have an M, which is for medium, because, you know, referring to the sizing chart, right? So, you have that going on. because this was one of the 20-year release things, because they were doing that. Again, I can't remember exactly what year, but they were doing that. According to the sizing, or the sticker here, 20. These were made in 20, so okay. Yeah, guess this was later than I thought. Must have been thinking of something else. But yeah, middle of 20. Unless they just made more after the fact. But I think they came out earlier in the year. Regardless, on the inside, what we're looking at here is kind of a weird sort of mesh feel. Like, I don't like the way it feels to the touch just because of the way they've done this. It just feels rough. But I mean, I wear socks with my shoes, so it's not going to be a factor. But if you don't wear socks with your shoes, first off, ew. Second off, you might want to. Thirdly, expect things to feel a little strange, right? But you deserve it for not wearing socks. So you got that. And that's white, which you saw. Now, past that, it looks like we've kind of covered everything. So I don't think there's anything else left to say. I'll hit you with a couple personal thoughts, though. So here's the thing. This particular Presto, it does not look amazing to me. It looks fine, right? It's okay. Is it at the top of the list? No, of course not. That's why I said what I just said. But the price came down far enough, whatever that was, that I was like, okay, now it's okay to buy these. Because retail, but whatever I got them for was enough for me to kind of pull the trigger on them. So that's why they're here. And looking at them up close, my opinion has not changed. I feel the same way about them as I felt when I first saw them, and that is that they're okay, right? Just okay. But it's a Presto. I like the overall style of it. I like the kind of minimalist thing, and I know them to be pretty comfortable and whatnot. But for me to just say that they're pretty comfortable and whatnot doesn't necessarily do a whole lot for people. Sometimes you want a little bit more of a description. So I'm going to knock that out real quick, and then we can all part ways. Which brings us to the sizing. Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, right, there's a sizing chart. So depending on where you fall in that sizing chart depends on or affects what size you should buy, right? Because it's small, medium, large, or maybe it's extra small to extra large. I forget, but you just got to look at that, figure out where you stand in there, and go with it. If your size happens to be at the top or the bottom of one of those levels, one of those tiers, then you got to figure out, like, is it worth it to take the chance of there being too much room or too little room? That's a question for you. I don't have that answer because that's a question for you. Now, once you've got that whole thing worked out, cool. How are you going to feel wearing these, right? That's the next step. Well, I think you're gonna be into it. I don't really know you, but I'm into it. So I'm just thinking, like, maybe you'll be into it too. But walking around in these, it's a good all-day wear shoe, right? Which is a thing that I'm into. Something that I can wear all day and not be mad about it. My feet not be angry. Because it's light, it's breathable. They got this nice foam cushion thing. There's some air somewhere in there too. So that's, I think, why people buy them. They're also really cheap, right? So it's some of that cheap comfort, which is also a good thing. And it being summer right now, at least for the next like month or two or something, it's kind of a good choice to go with, at least in the time being. So I would say, overall, wrapping this up, putting a nice little bow on it for everybody, buy the size that makes sense based off the sizing chart. And then when you get them, you're going to walk around in them and you think, man, that black dude from the internet was okay. He didn't lie to me. These are kind of comfortable. Hopefully that's what you walk away with. So there we go. I believe we've covered everything about these because there's not a lot to say. It's a Presto, right? Like, they've been around for so long. I've done a lot of reviews on them. So you probably know where you are with these right now. You probably just wanted to see them, if anything, right? And now you've seen them, so now we're done. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm going to do that one last review, and then I'm done for today. So that's all right. Looking forward to that. Later, people.